That's wonderful. Thank you, Andrew. Hasn't he done a great job? Sighted guide, the thrusting elbow. Sit down, buddy. That's it. That's the boy. Good morning, everybody. Isn't this the most awesome thing? I'm having a lovely time thinking I'm 15 to 25 again. So this is my first Luminosity, and I know it is for some of you guys too. So this is just fabulous. And as Andrew says, if you didn't get the chance to catch up with the Your Health Link girls yesterday while they were here, go online and have a look at yourhealthlink.com.au. Fabulous youth section just dedicated for you guys, and with information that's just right for where you're at now. So I would like you all to close your eyes for a moment. Now, it doesn't matter whether my eyes are open or closed. That's as good as it gets for me these days. Now, if some of you would like to keep them closed, you'll experience life the way I do and how I did yesterday. All I got to do was hear all of yesterday's wonderful speakers. But those of you who would like to open your eyes and look at Perry, I will understand entirely. So it hasn't always been that way, because when I was 24, I was on holidays, and I did the right thing. I had my holidays first. It was actually on the last weekend, Australia Day long weekend, and 1992, so I've had a while to get used to this, but a mishap with a semi-trailer, and needless to say, I came off second best. And the saying was that the police officer was so confident I was going to make it that he went and filled out the papers the coroner was going to need. Then the paramedic who was in the back of the ambulance with me, the accident was out in central West New South Wales near a place called Molong, and they needed to get me to Orange Base Hospital. So the paramedic thought I'd make it, didn't think I'd keep my left leg, and didn't know in what mental state I would be. And then they took one look at me at Orange Base Hospital, said, oh, we're going to get rid of this one. So they stabilised me, airlifted me into Sydney, which is where I was living and working anyway. And I'm really pleased the TV show RPA did not exist all those years ago, because I probably would have been on it. And so yes, I ended up at RPA, and to this day they cannot explain why I do not have a severe intellectual impairment, because a spectacular skull fracture severed my optic nerves, which is why I can't see you guys sitting out there, but it tore my brain cover, and usually that does result in an intellectual impairment. And while some of my friends might say I do, most of the time, given those circumstances, I am really lucky that the only thing I can't do is see you guys sitting out there today. So you can see, given those things, the fact I wasn't supposed to survive, have a left leg, and not be able to operate as functionally as I do, that getting used to not being able to see was really quite not a simple thing, but it could have been so much worse. And so, of course, today, and fitting in with a lot of things from yesterday, it's not what life throws at you, it's how you work with it when it does. Because, have you noticed there's actually something about the age of 24? Because I was 24, Emma was 24, Seb had his moment in Canada, losing a really good friend when he was 24, and Tim yesterday was telling us that's when he went from Western Australia to Melbourne and made some other changes for himself when he was 24. So 24 is not anything to be worried about, but just be prepared for some changes. But yeah, I got a little bit more than I bargained for, didn't I? And so I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to use my left hand again. And I had to learn to live life slightly differently. I have been very lucky to have a lot of support from a lot of people to do that. And the other thing is, of course, today, I'm not going to see the time cards up the back, am I? So the fact that Andrew might actually have to whisk me off stage Because if any of you have ever had any contact with me, you know that I'm really good at this. And really good at having a yak, so don't be surprised if I suddenly get whisked off and disappear. So it's not just the small things, like learning how to walk again. I mean, I had an immediate goal, an immediate thing I needed to work towards. But it's like, what happens after? Because I was not in a position to go back to my job that I had in Sydney. Technology wasn't what it is now in those days. And so I was not able to return to my job as an agribusiness economist. And believe me, it seems like a completely different person to the one I am now. And so I came back to Wauchope. And I know there are some Wauchope High people here, so let me hear you. My old school, you see, guys, so I just had to do that. So, yeah, very lucky to have the support, and here in Port Macquarie, as well as from Guide Dogs New South Wales. First thing I learned how to use was a cane, which I didn't bring with me today because I don't need it when I've got Perry. Now, a cane, when you're using one, only works from the belly button down, so no what's called upper body protection. So, of course, trees grow over footpaths, cafes and restaurants love to have greenery, and so I wear glasses purely for protection. I know when to duck and blink. I can duck and blink, I just don't know when I need to. So, as I say, it's not what life throws at you, it's how you work with it when it does. Now, I have not always worked well with my vision impairment, or in my case, my total blindness. What you guys actually see today are 2 artificial eyes. Pretty groovy, eh? And not only that, when you've got 2, you get to choose colour. So this actually isn't my natural eye colour either. So how good's that? I nearly got to be blue-eyed, but we went for hazel so that it looked okay. But so it's what comes afterwards, and I haven't always worked with it so well. I have had many years of depression. I can say I am depression-free at the moment. And that is really awesome because I tried lots of different things. I hung out with physiotherapists for far too long, thought I wanted to be one. So I trained as a massage therapist. Then I did some telemarketing for some friends. Then I got involved in a fabulous volunteer program at Wauchope High School. And that's where I realised that I really had found my forte in working with young people. I went up to the University of New England to do a psych degree so I could work much more effectively with you guys. And that ended up being an interesting exercise in ghosts of the sighted past, because that's where I had done my economics degree when I could see what I was doing. Going back to the same university to do a different degree when I couldn't see turned out to be an interesting exercise. I didn't end up finishing it. However, I did end up working at the university as the disability advisor. So as you can see, I may have been suffering from depression, but I kept trying different things all the time. But that was part of it. I was looking to change me from the outside. I wanted external things. I wanted the things I was doing on the outside to fix me. And something I learned was I had to do it from the inside. So all the things out there that we can do are not going to change what's in here. So I had to work on myself, and I've had to make those changes internally and here, because if you're coming to my masterclass this afternoon, our minds never came with a manual or a fact sheet, did they? So we need to learn how to use them more effectively and to do life positively. And that's what I try to do every day. That's why I'm out in the community. You will see Perry and I out and about quite a bit, because it's getting out there and playing with the world. I can't change what happened, but I can choose how I use to play with the world. And I'm out to play big time, because I can show people that it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter how traumatic or how small. If it's traumatic to you, it's traumatic. It doesn't need to be as big as a semi-trailer, and I hope for your sake that it's not. But it's learning to get out there and make the choice. I can't change what happened, but I can certainly choose how to work with everybody, not to hide under the doona. You can tell it's actually not my style. I have tried it on occasions, but I'm too much a people person. I like to be out there with Perry, my second guide dog, and playing with the world to show that it doesn't matter what happens, but we can choose to live our lives and make a difference, not just for ourselves, for everybody else.